Okay, I think I might even be a few minutes early, so just give me a second to put something into the chat box. Okay, I think that's in. Okay, so welcome to this week's Thrive Live. It's lovely to have you. For those of you that may not know me or my work, and this may be the first time that you're watching this episode or these episodes, my name is Cora Darlington. I am an intuitive coach and a spiritual guide or mentor, and my work in the world is specifically with women who are in the recovery or the prevention of burnout. So burnout is something that, even though we've classically been told that burnout is all about being overworked, and it is, and all of the things that we have when we suffer with burnout, my knowing is that burnout is fundamentally caused from us disconnecting to who we really are. So all of my work in the world is around helping a woman just reconnect to herself so that she's able to create a life from an internal space of who she is and what she really, really needs. So it's amazing work. So this week's episode of Thrive Live is you have no energy and you are pissed off all the time. So you have no energy and you are pissed off all the time. Now, I purposely chose that title because that is what I hear women saying. I went through my own period of burnout. And I remember feeling exactly like that. And one of the reasons we feel like that, or you're feeling like you're feeling, if any of that resonates with you, is because you either have no boundaries at all, or you have them, but they're not working. And that is what we're going to talk about today, okay? So what are boundaries? And I'm going to put my own language around it. So we all heard about boundaries. So what are boundaries? To me, they're like non-negotiable touchstones in our lives that should protect the things that are most important to us, that have us, and those things that are important to us have us feeling nurtured, and they support our energy. So boundaries for me should be non-negotiable touchstones in our lives that should protect the things that are really important to us and support our energy, right? So why do we struggle to have them, right? Because lots and lots of us have trouble with them, right? Why do we struggle with them? So number one is we care way too much about other people's opinions. So one of the biggest reasons I see that people have got no boundaries in their lives is because they are concerned about how they will be perceived by other people. We like to be liked. And so we feel like if I put boundaries in, I won't be liked anymore, or I won't be approved of anymore. And so that is one of the reasons why I see people struggle so much with boundaries. Also, there's another part of that, I think, is that somewhere along the line, we've connected telling the truth with confrontation. So I think we think if we're honest about things, if we say no to something because it's our truth that we want to say no to it, that there will instantly be a confrontation. So again, I think that's another reason why we steer away from boundaries. Number two, and I see this a lot, is we've formed an identity around this kind of statement. Oh, we love Cora. She'll do anything for anyone. It's a bit connected to the first one. We like to be liked, right? So we formed an identity around being the person that will do anything for anyone. And we have connected our self-esteem to that. Okay, we've connected our self-worth to being everything to everybody. And that has us really trapped, because that means that we're abandoning our own needs all the time. It has us depleted, and it for sure will have us in burnout, because the reality of it is you can't be everything to everybody. And in the effort of trying to do that, you end up pleasing no one actually. And the last person that you please is yourself. Okay. The third reason why we struggle with boundaries is this: we don't know ourselves enough to know what our own boundaries are. what our own boundaries should be, right? We're not in relationship with ourselves. I talk about this all the time. You have to be in relationship with yourself outside of everything that's going on out there. Once you take all of the hats off, all of the things you are to everybody else, you have got to be in relationship with yourself. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you need. You've got to know what's important to you. And then you will be so much better informed in terms of what your personal boundaries should be. Okay. So the other thing that I want to discern as well, there's two different places that I see boundaries grounded in. And it makes a massive difference, okay, as to whether or not your boundaries are successful or not, right? There's two different places that boundaries are grounded in. The first one is boundaries that are grounded in defense and protection. Defense and protection. So I see this a lot. You might have a woman that's never ever had any boundaries whatsoever, and she gets that tired and that resentful and that fed up that she begins to put boundaries in, right? But they don't come from a place of healthy sense of worth and healthy sense of worth and self-love. They come from a place of being so fed up that you just are putting walls up. And then the way that you communicate those boundaries is from a place of defense, right? Because we kind of go into it expecting that we're going to be attacked. So we go into attack mode first. So there's that way that I see the boundaries are grounded in. Okay. Then the other place that boundaries are grounded in is a place of healthy self-love and honoring. All right. And we communicate that in a very, very different way. When you know what has you full up, when you know what has you feeling supported and nurtured, when you know the things that you need, and you communicate that from a place of just love of self, actually, that gets communicated to another in a very different way. Now, you still have to let go or find a way of letting go of the outcome in the way that your boundaries are going to be perceived by another, because we know that the way that people think about you, about us, has got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with where they're at. So when you start to put your boundaries in place, you always do run a risk that might not go down well with another, actually. But you've kind of got to come to a place where honoring of self becomes more important, right? And there's a journey to that, for sure there is. Now, the other thing that I see, and I really wanted to talk about this today because it's come up a lot recently when I've been speaking to my clients, is even sometimes when you have boundaries, they're not working. And why are they not working? So let's just take a look. If you are a yes person and you are used to being that person that does everything for everybody, all of that stuff, okay? By the way, putting boundaries in doesn't mean that you don't do things for people anymore, but you just do it from a healthier state, right? Because most of us that are burnt out are doing it for everybody, but we're pissed off, right? So it's very inauthentic. So one of the reasons why the boundaries that you're putting in don't work are, if you think about, you have been, depending on how old you are, if I'm 45, right? So say I've got no boundaries and people are used to me saying yes, I will have created a culture with my friends, with my family, with the people that know me, that is created on a framework of I will do anything for anyone. Now, that could have been going on for 20, 30 years. So it took all that time to create this culture and have people in relationship with us as the person that says yes to everything, right? It is absolutely ridiculous and unrealistic to think that one conversation with the people in our lives is going to change that entire culture. It's absolutely not going to. It takes time to re-educate yourself, actually, because remember, you're learning to be different, right? When you put boundaries down, you're learning to deal with everything that those boundaries throw up, which is, the misplaced feelings of guilt and all of that stuff. So you're learning to re-educate yourself and embody those boundaries, but also the other people around you they need time to get used to being in relationship with you in a different way. So it is going to take more than one conversation, right? Then the other thing is, and it comes back to when our boundaries are grounded in defense and protection, very often we only communicate our boundaries when we're in an argument, when we've already had enough, when we're losing our shit. Now, the issue with that is that when you are communicating in that way, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening in any solution orientated way, because normally the two people, you and the other person, are just fighting to be the right one. I want to be the right one. So nothing actually ends up being communicated well. Nothing lands. Nothing is grounded about that at all. But that's kind of the cycle. We wait until it's too much. We lose our shit. Then we try and put our boundaries in. We express our needs, but it's from a place of anger and frustration. Then the other person doesn't listen. The other cycle I see is you have the conversation, things change for a couple of weeks, and then we lose our shit because that person goes back to how they were before. But it's like I said, you've got to honor the fact that you may have taken 20, 30 years to create that embedded culture. That's the way that you relate to yourself and the way that other people relate to you. It is entrenched, it's embedded. So it is going to take more than one or two conversations to create something different, right? So that's a commitment. So what I wanted to, in order for me to just kind of, bring that all around, boundaries don't need to be grounded in defense. They can be communicated and instilled from a place of love and self-honor. But in order for you to know what they are for you, you must know who you are and what you need. Otherwise, the boundaries don't make sense in the first place. You must be in relationship with yourself. And you've got to be ready as you instill those boundaries for there to be a process around re-educating people in your life, how to respond to you differently. They need time for that. You do too, actually, while you're instilling those things. What I do know is that without any boundaries, life literally eats you alive, because life will just keep come in and come in and come in and come in. And if the people in your life have been educated in a way that says that you will do anything, anytime, then their needs and their wants and their desires completely take over your life, and then you become invisible, right, in your own life. And then you become burnt out, or you're just resentful all the time, So the first thing is to be in integrity with yourself. Like, what is it that you need? Because, you don't have to have 1,000 boundaries to create a space that has you feeling more nurtured and supported. It can be a couple of things, but those few things will make a massive, massive, massive difference. And you deserve to be resourced in your life. You deserve to feel supported and nurtured. And actually, when you are of much more service to the people in your lives than when you don't, or when you haven't got those boundaries. So, boundaries are a really, really big subject. That's it for me today. But before I go, if you have a little look in the comments box, I have posted a link. I'm running a free masterclass on Thursday morning, actually this Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. If you want to book your space on that, make sure that you do it now. And in that masterclass, I will walk you through how to be in relationship with yourself, right? So that you're able to know what your boundaries are, so that you're able to instill them. There's a whole process that I will walk you through that will have you feeling very different in your life very quickly. So I'm going to really encourage you to take me up on that opportunity. Like I said, it's free. It's happening at 11 o'clock this Thursday morning. If you click the link, you can get your space now. I will see you next week.